Thinking of investing, working, or starting a business in the cannabis industry? We've got you covered right here on Plant Problems. Hosted by Tony Frischknecht, Plant Problems takes a different approach to cannabis than what you're seeing and hearing from the mainstream media. Come along with Tony and be in the know about how to invest, work, or start a cannabis business. Let's get the show started with your host, Tony Frischknecht.
Hey everybody, welcome to Plant Problems. This is your host, Tony Frischknecht. Hope you guys are doing great today. I am happy to have you all listening. I've got some what I think is very exciting stuff for you guys, especially your new investors out there. I wanted to talk to you guys about what kind of investment is best for you. Stocks versus direct company investment. You know, things have been pretty wild over the last year, especially with Canada getting in the races on who is going to be first to legalize nationally on a large level. And they ended up having achieved that. I'm not sure how successful they are right now, but this has also caused a lot of confusion for the investor, because now it's like, well, I know I can't, there's not too many stocks to invest in the New York Stock Exchange, but there's Canada, right? And a lot of these groups, if you guys aren't familiar, a lot of the groups out of the U.S. went up there and did what they call a reverse merger and opened up on the stock exchange up there. And so that allowed them to get access to capital, then come back down to the U.S. and actually invest that money in the cannabis economy down here. So definitely a workaround, entrepreneurial mindset. Let's see how we can get around the sticky part and get some financing. Well, I have done multiple deals in investing in companies, and I've also done stock deals too. And there's a few things that I look for, and a lot of these deals don't come, they're not fast. Guys, I want you guys to be aware that my type of investing, I'm more of a long term. I know there's a lot of guys out there that are day trade. There's a lot of opportunity in that. I personally don't look for the quick buck. And for those out there that are just starting in this world, whatever you see on the media and whatever transactions are happening, this is not a get rich quick game. This is a long-term play if you really want to make some money. Yeah, there are guys out there, of course, just in anywhere where they made $100,000 off this deal, they made $500,000 off of this deal, but it's becoming more rare because there's more people, frankly, getting involved in the industry. These deals of quick money are few and far between. So when you do start investing or looking into investing, really think about what kind of investor are you? Do you just want to turn a quick dollar, and which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has their reasons why they prefer to go either long-term or short-term. So I share with you guys a few things to think about as you're looking into investing and you're dealing with these types of high-risk investments, because they are. I would urge you to start slow, and you're going to have to learn as you go. There are so many people that have come into this industry from the black market, and there are a lot of very sketchy people out there. So you really got to keep your eye. And they're really smart too. These guys are not, it's not like they're idiots, but they will test you on some of the stuff they do. And, some may fudge numbers. Some may tell you one thing and you see another. These are all red flags as an investor that you have to really understand. I like to kind of get my hands dirty. No matter what you're digging into, you either know these companies personally or you spend some time and put in the legwork to understand these companies. If your full-time job is an investor, which I think that's awesome, there's very few people that I know that can do it full-time, but there are a few of them. These guys have either their people on the ground or they're in it and they're digging. For example, with companies, if you're going to invest in an extraction company, a grow facility, these are all exciting things, right? The news shows it's really exciting. But these are cash-intensive operations. And a lot of the times, they're not showing any profit for several years. You got to be willing to hold out for those. You're not going to get dividends most of the time on any of these deals. If there's companies that you talk to that you're interested in investing 20 grand, 100 grand, $250,000, what's that money worth to you? Because $10,000 to me could be the whole world to somebody else, or vice versa. So you need to understand, and this is just simple investing. There's nothing unique to the cannabis industry. What's that value of money worth to you? I suggest, depending on how much you're going to invest, that's about how much time you need to invest. If you value your time and you have a $100,000 investment, then you need to invest $100,000 worth of your time into figuring out if that's the right deal for you or not. It's really the only way that you can equate it to make sense. What's that $100,000 worth to you? Well, if you've got a big deal and you've got a month to figure out whether you're going to invest in, you better kick some butt and get in there and start doing your due diligence. So I'm still in companies. I don't want to shoot too far off on the stocks. Companies I like to see them firsthand, and meeting with the executive group, the entire group, whether it's 2 guys or 10 guys. You need to understand the dynamics between all those guys, because there more than likely is some things that you'll uncover between relationships. Usually you can find out things about money, who's controlling the money. These are all big things, especially if you're going to be dumping a bunch of money into it. Now, you need to understand who you're dealing with. I've gone out for dinner and drinks with people and spent several hours meeting with them. At the end of the day, they're running the company. You got to know these guys and what their passions are and how they believe in it. You also got to know, are they quality people that are working in the industry, or are these guys shysters? Are they trying to take advantage of people or fleece the investors of the investment? I mean, I know a handful of guys that were living way outside their means for several years because the cash was coming in, and now it was coming in so fast, they may not have seen the profit in there, but it was coming in so fast, it's hard to tell until that slows down. You kind of see that. You see those issues happen where it's like, oh, why are we 10,000 below? Well, 2 months in a row we've been, sales have been down. That stuff catches up really quick. And most of these guys don't have any extra income sitting behind in case they have a couple bad months. And those couple bad months can kill the business. Another thing, this is simple to do, is check their licensing, verify it. Make sure it's not only that they have it, but that it's not expired. They're not owing any in taxes. There's a lot of stuff that can be hidden there where they may owe some city or sales or state taxes that are unknown, and those can cause issue when you go to renew your license. They tap right into that. And I'm sure this is common in other industries, but this one even more so. It's like, okay, well, we don't even care if your license is 50 grand. You owe us another 100 in taxes, so sorry, you're going to have to come up with 150 this month in order to get your license. Well, that license is no good because they can't renew it. Guess what? There's a major issue with your investment. And so another one is when you're looking at taxes and tax payments, just look to see if that matches up with the amount of revenue that they're talking about. That's a real clear sign, like, well, they say they're making 10 million, but they're only paying taxes for 2 million in revenue. Well, something's not right here. The other thing too is salaries. Most of these guys a lot of the industry has come up from nothing. And when you come up from nothing, you spend money fast a lot of the times because nobody ever taught you. Well, you got to reinvest in your money, or you're putting this aside. These guys have all been sole proprietor LLCs for many of their professions prior. And so they've created bad habits of using company money as personal money and vice versa, and a lot of commingling. So that one happens a lot in every business. Just seen it firsthand in this one. Following up that, why are they doing this? Why are they treating the company like a piggy bank? And that's a little bit tougher to dig out, but if you're doing a large investment, I highly recommend, especially if you're, let's say there's been a couple raises already and you're like a C, a B, or a C, you should really find out if you've got a forensic accountant on hand. Those are key components. I'm good with numbers, but these guys can dig out because they look for fraudulent activities. They might be $400 an hour. But again, like I said before, if you're investing $100,000 or if it's $10,000 to you, what's a couple $1,000 to make sure your investment is safe? It's, of course, goes into your business expenses and stuff like that. So you're just investing in your business to become a better investor. I would say if you're also putting a significant amount of money in, you should get a board seat. At the end of the day, you want to be in these meetings when they sit down. You want to have some control there. And I know a lot of investors agree with me on this. But just to share with you new ones out there, it's a big part of it. I know guys that they won't invest at all unless they have a board seat. They're like, yeah, I'm going to invest 20% for a 20% stake in the company. I want a board seat because these board meetings there's a lot that can happen that you can't control unless you're part of them. So I would say those are my top 5-6 things that I would look for. And then, of course, you'll find red flags, and that'll open up a bunch of other things for you to check out. If they're newly starting, you really are going to have to go off of what the owner is like, because a lot of these are going to be personal loans are going to be coming to them. And so you need to do your background check on these guys, make sure that they don't have massive debt that they're sitting on or lawsuits that are happening, and see if you can find some referrals or get around them and some of their friends and understand where they're coming from. That's the very first investors, the ones that are just starting. Those are really challenging because that's a lot of feel and see and touch, and you don't have a whole lot of numbers. I mean, they're going to give you projections now. Guys, projections are great, but performance is really where it comes out. So you need to look at these performance paper like what's the worst possible thing that can happen in this scenario so you don't lose money. I mean, as an investor, everybody hates to lose money, but it happens. You can't call it every time. So stocks. Let's talk some stocks. Stocks are tricky too. You see, right now it's been an interesting couple of months. The last few months, stocks have dropped 30 and 40% across the board. Well, you can either look at this as a curse or an opportunity. I think it opens up opportunity in a lot of areas. Again, this is going to come down to, are you short-term or long-term? Step back just a couple minutes, as I wanted to add something to the companies. If you're looking at a company that potentially you can go IPO, then that's your short-term still, and you can do pretty well on that. So you want to keep that in mind too. But jumping back to stocks, just limited information. A lot of these companies have not had any real statistics out there. Find yourself some good statistics to read. And there's a lot of guys, there's some stuff starting to happen on the stock exchange now, and there's information. There's a lot of companies that are doing analytics now, so you can start digging some of that stuff up. But again, I still recommend if you are going to invest in these companies, you need to dig in and really look and see when they're going to be profitable, because a lot of this is going to be a guessing game. Well, I think they're good. You want to know their future. You want to know where they're going to go, where they're headed. And being profitable could be 2 or 3 years down the road, could be 5 years down the road. There's some big plays out there. There's a lot of companies that are splitting up. They're diversing into medical stuff, not only recreational, but their company has a lead in R&D and researching the medical benefits. The medical benefits, we haven't even scratched the surface, guys. if you can find somebody, a company that is really digging in and heavily investing in the medical side of the plant, that's more of a long-term play. I would really search out those type of companies, because I think those are going to be the big hitters as we go down the road. These ones, because the research is really just starting. I'm not sure anybody's been following. I've done a couple of videos on my Facebook Live, but the DEA had their hand forced to allow multiple schools now the ability to grow and research this plant. There was a lawsuit done in August, forced them to process applications for several schools. Arizona has a couple, I believe California. There's several other. I think there was like 8 or 9 that were actually sent through. So this is good. But this is what's going to propel some of these other companies, and they're going to work back and forth. You find companies that are working with universities and stuff, that may be new to the biotech world, but it's really new to what we're trying to do in the cannabis industry. Tie in and look for stuff like that. Look for where all their operations are located. Are they in one area? Are they spread out all throughout the U.S.? Do they have dispensary here, grow over here? I mean, when you're spread thin like that, unless you have a really big plan in place and you're going down the right direction, it's not very easy to really make money when you're separated. And I'm sure people will argue with me on that. And it really depends on the situation. And something that I learned a long time ago, invest in what you know. You know, there's real estate investment companies out there. There's equipment companies. There is, what else is there? Several other industries that have their toe in cannabis that you can invest in. Your risk is not nearly as high as if you just went for a massive greenhouse grow company. So look for those pieces of the puzzle, that those companies that piece this together, that want to have a strong balance. They know that they can put some of their information into it and help grow the industry and mature it, because the maturity side is where we're really going to see some big dollars. And I don't think we're not even anywhere close to that. I think we've got another 4 or 5 years to when we really see the maturity happen. So if you're looking at either, I think they're both very promising. You got to do your homework, guys. That's really what it comes down to. Do your homework and invest in what you know, and take some of that information and use it to your advantage. There's not a lot of guys out there. The guys I know that are investing in stocks, they don't know anything about stocks. They just the hot new thing. You don't want to do that. Don't chase other people's dreams. Figure it out for yourself. You'll be much happier, and you'll also be more aware of what your investments are doing. And once you have those investments, especially the stocks, make sure you keep up to date with everything that's happening in the news on them. Well, I hope that helps you guys out a little bit. I wanted to give you guys something to start with. I know I'm going to be having guests on here. I've got some guys out of Canada I've been talking to that I'm going to bring on the show. And I want to give some deeper insight on specific stocks and information. And I'm also going to get some bigger companies on here too. I know the gentleman at the founding owner of Medicine Man Technologies, which he's had in Denver, Colorado, and he's been involved in the industry since 2009, and they've got some huge stuff happening right now. So I look forward to bringing him to you guys. And if you're interested and you want to follow me a little bit more, please head over to blackmarketbook.com, and I'm going to be posting podcasts there. I'm going to have other information there. You can also purchase my book there if you want to check that out. And you can reach me at all my social media sites as well. So anyway, thanks a lot for listening to me today, guys. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.
You've just listened to another insightful episode of Plant Problems. If you like what you heard so far, don't forget to tell your friends and colleagues. For additional resources or to leave a review, head over to plantproblem.com. Join us again next week on Plant Problems with Tony Frischknecht. We look forward to having conversations with you as we go along this journey.